hide the ketchup because it appears that former President Donald Trump is in a bad mood.
Can't let that happen.
And it's delicious. And I don't mean the ketchup. So recently news emerged that Trump's longtime former fixer, Michael Cohen, was testifying before the grand jury in New York over his, and more importantly, Donald Trump's involvement in the hush money payments made to Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election. So look, if you are running for office and you decide, you're planning on running for office and you think that there's maybe some terrible information that's about to come out about you during the course of that campaign, and you decide, hey, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay off this person so that they don't talk to the press. I'm going to make them sign an NDA, and I'm just going to pay them some money, get them to shut up so it doesn't hurt my political chances. And I'm going to do so by getting my longtime lawyer, also known as my fixer, to do it. And he's going to pay this person out of their own account, and I'm going to reimburse them to make it look all not totally illegal, even though it actually definitely is illegal. Well, yeah, that would definitely make you a criminal. First, the person who is engaging in that transfer, and then, of course, the person ordering that transfer. But what happens when the person who had ordered that transfer, allegedly, of course, happens to become the president of the United States? Well, you end up with that fixer going to prison, whereas that president, doesn't face any sort of consequences. So that's the situation that's going on. Okay. So look, the fact that Michael Cohen is now out and he's out of prison and he's going and actually testifying in this now criminal probe in New York over these alleged hush money payments, which would be considered to be a campaign contribution, an illegal one. Well, that's got him pretty angry. And he decided to take his grievances to, well, where else?
Truth, essential.
That's right. So now here's what he wrote. Does anybody believe that sleazebag disbarred lawyer Michael Cohen went before a grand jury yesterday and did little butt talk about it today? You're not allowed to do that, just like in Georgia. Funny enough, he's saying things that you're not allowed to do, and then bringing up Georgia, in which you tried to get a person who was running the elections to what is it? Brad Raffensperger, to find him votes, which you're not supposed to do. But and to pressure them into trying to find you votes, and then to get your friends, people like Lindsey Graham, to do the same thing. Oh yes, the things that you're not supposed to do. Now you're bringing up things. Hey, you're not supposed to do that. Great. Just like in Georgia, with a juror was severely admonished for talking. Cohen has no credibility at any level. Total loser. You know what's funny about this? You look at that and look, Trump's right about one thing there. And I know it doesn't mean I have to give it to him, because I think this is very, very obvious. But Michael Cohen, I've said it before, and not so, the same term, but yeah, he's a sleazebag. For me, I've called him a snake. I know animals are innocent. You're not supposed to, call people like animal names as an insult, the whole vegan rap thing. But hey, look, he's a sleazebag. Of course he's a sleazebag. Now, the point that I'm making with that is the fact that Michael Cohen is a sleazebag is exactly what Donald Trump had hired him in the first place. It's not the bug, it's the feature. Oh, are you one of the sleaziest, slimiest lawyers that I can find? Why, yes, I happen to be one of those people. Great, you're hired. You can do all my dirty stuff for me, so that you can get in trouble, and that's the unspoken part. And I can get away with pretty much everything. You could be my fall guy. Well, yeah, that's essentially what happened. So, funny enough, the claim, and there is this claim going around, and I think there's some validity to it, honestly. But there's a claim going around, and there's questions about if Cohen would be a problematic witness in this particular case because of everything that had happened between him and Donald Trump. But that's, again, essentially started for the fact that Michael Cohen went to prison for lying on behalf and at the behest of Trump in the first place. And it was after that where Michael Cohen had turned on Trump, and of course Trump had, look, when it comes down to it, Trump had abandoned Michael Cohen to his fate because to Donald Trump, I believe people, he thinks that there are people that are just expendable. Once you are no longer useful to me, once I cannot extract anything from you, you got to go, son. Like, I have no interest. Coffee boy, I don't know you. Who is this guy? Well, sir, there's multiple photos of you together. Don't know him. Fake news. But sir, you know this, and you know this person. He's gonna get you in trouble if you don't at least try to, rectify the situation.
Can't let that happen.
No, he's gonna get another lawyer. Look, if there are any lawyers that'll actually work for him. So, but again, getting back to the situation, right? It is a complicated situation because, again, if you point to the fact that Michael Cohen is a sleazebag who was lying under oath on behalf of Donald Trump, well, it's like, you can't really trust the guy. But at the same time, he's also probably one of the best witnesses against Donald Trump because of the fact that he had been basically left to rot even after he had committed perjury on behalf of Donald Trump. And so, look, he went to prison. And the other part of this is a personal animus, right? So Michael Cohen, of course, is going to have personal animus against Trump because, well, he got left in prison. Of course, that would sour you on somebody. Not only that, but something that I had recently remembered, because, look, a lot had happened in the last few years. But the administration during COVID, the Trump administration, had actually sent Michael Cohen back to prison. So there was COVID release. So like he appealed to get out, COVID release, and then he wrote a memoir that wasn't exactly nice towards Donald Trump. So the administration said, "Oh, you know what? Back to prison for you. You're going to go back in." And so a lot of people saw that, legal experts saw that, a court saw that as like, hey, you are retaliating against your political enemy. You got to release Michael Cohen. And so they eventually did. They released Michael Cohen, and afterwards, Cohen decided to file a civil rights lawsuit against Trump. He lost that civil rights lawsuit. And that's really interesting. So this had landed in the lap of Trump appointee District Judge Louis Lehman. So now Lehman threw out the lawsuit and he said, look, there are Supreme Court precedents that were set that make it so that you cannot sue the president of the United States over these civil rights violations because we don't think there are these cases that have already been decided with precedent that your case does not fit. So now Cohen says, look, I was thrown in solitary for 16 days. I was retaliated against for, writing a memoir that was, again, very anti-Trump. And so my civil rights were violated. So nonetheless, Lehman threw out that lawsuit and said, but here's what he wrote in his opinion. Quote, this court pauses to reiterate the profound violence this holding does to Cohen's constitutional rights. Cohen's complaint alleges an egregious violation of constitutional rights by the executive branch. nothing short of the use of executive power to lock up the president's political enemies for speaking critically of him. The Supreme Court's precedents ensure that there is at best a partial remedy for the abuse of power and violation of rights against the perpetrators of those wrongs. And yet, Lehman also used and ruled that there were multiple Supreme Court precedents that had ended up dooming his case as well. So while he did get out of jail, his civil rights lawsuit was immediately thrown out. So look, I bring that up just to illustrate how much bad blood there is between the two. And so on the one hand, again, it hurts his case as being a credible witness, along with the fact that he had lied, perjured himself under oath and went to prison. But that's when he was doing it at the behest of Donald Trump. Now he's against Trump, but can he be trusted in any sort of testimony now based on that previous, the fact that he had previously lied? And so that's an interesting question here, because again, we are dealing with a couple of pretty terrible people. Cohen is, again, he is a sleazebag. Always been a sleazebag. But at the same time, if Cohen is telling the truth, then it would be sort of poetic justice here when you have a terrible person taking on and taking down an even worse person. Because sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes it takes a bad person to take down a worse person. I guess let him fight. But again, that's making the assumption that Cohen is telling the truth. And that's something that I can't really say to be the case, because I don't know if he's being honest or not. But I will say this. If I were in his position, telling the truth to me would feel like an act of preservation, survival. Because think about it this way, right? He has to. He's got no friends in the right, obviously. I don't even think the anti-Trumpers or the establishment Republicans are going to really, I guess, treat him very well or offer him some sort of position. He can't exactly work in law because he's been disbarred. And if he ended up lying, I mean, again, the left wing, even the establishment Democrats, wouldn't want anything to do with him. They'd throw him to the curb immediately. Look at what happened to Michael Avenatti. So for him personally, telling the truth, and he's got to know this, it's a matter of survival. And so when I look at it through that perspective, through that lens, I mean, for his sake, he's definitely got to be going to have to be telling the truth. And judging by the reaction to Trump, even seeing the fact that Cohen is testifying to that grand jury in that case, shows me that Trump is in a bit of a panic over it.